afternoon.
Hello all, welcome to Panis podcast session, live session. Today we have members from ELLAK to discuss the Cyprus, there is a Cyprus Open Digital Week coming up, starting from tomorrow, and also to discuss a bit the open technologies. Feel free to ask your questions in the comments while you're watching. YouTube, LinkedIn, or Facebook if it's working, because Facebook has major outage from the morning. So, but first let's do a round of introductions, very brief, so the guys will know who you are and why you are involved in the open technology space. Let's start from the girl first, Kristaleni.
Sure. Okay. So Kristaleni Loisidou is my name. I come from the arts and academia, cultural studies. I have been interested in the commons and in self-organization academically for a while, and I was lucky enough to somehow stumble into Marios. This was at the Cyprus University of Technology in 2011, when I was trying to organize, kind of a meeting and a self-organized meeting and a conference around open knowledge, open science, open knowledge. And a meeting of technologists and archivists and librarians. For some reason, I was very, very into that at that time, and I felt this had to be on this meeting between archivists and technologists had to be on open, transparent, and open source technology. And then through this contact, I began to understand what free, libre, and open source. What this movement is about and how important it is and how connected it is to the values of democracy and so on. So since then, I have been, it has become my work, a big part of my work to try and help things move in this direction, and also to help the local free, libre, and open source community in whatever way I can.
Well, happy to have you, Kristaleni. You're a driving force in this community.
I have been I'm connecting the dots. This is it. Yes. I will take it. Thank you.
Get ready. You will get to answer what is ELLAK after we finish with the round. So
okay.
Let's go with Theodoros, an old member, one of the oldest founders of Theodoros.
Hello, everyone. I'm Theodoros Andreou. I started this journey as a Linux enthusiast merely because I didn't want to format my PC every single month. But eventually we realized that this is something big. There is something bigger behind this thing. It's a whole movement about freedom and transparency, respect of the users. And I joined, we started Ubuntu CY back in the day. I think, I don't remember exactly the date, it was somewhere in 2010, Ubuntu CY with some other friends from Primetel, which eventually evolved into what we call today ELLAK. And here we are. My job is a system administrator. I prepare things for people to work on. I work at those people they are collaborating.
Great. Neophytos?
Yes. So Neophytos. In my day job, I'm a product lead at a company called Core Engineering Consulting Group. It's a technology consultancy focused on software delivery acceleration. Also, in the recent past, I've been into innovation and digital transformation consulting, supporting startups and big corporations in launching new products, innovate, adopt emerging technologies. In the open source side of things, I've been a contributor for probably around 15 years now to various open source projects. Similar, like let's say, onboarding process as Theodotos. I started using, like I was back then using Windows, and I was trying to use free apps, let's say, and then at some point I realized they all had something in common. They all had this license that I didn't know much about back then. That was open source licenses and all that. And that got me into the rabbit hole of understanding what these licenses are about. And finding, as again, Theodotos mentioned, this big culture around open source, about free software and everything in between. And I've stuck since then, I guess. I've been involved in various projects over the years. Started as a user, as I said, then from the nature of open source and free software, I became a contributor, which is still an aspect I still love up to this day in relation to communities around this mentality, let's say. So I started from contributing to minor stuff, documentation, bug reports, and all that, and then went into core team, product team, release team of, let's say, Linux distribution back in the day, then a messaging platform focused on privacy. And then in my recent, let's say, years, I was more involved into still am in KDE, being a member of the board of directors also a couple of years ago. And I guess that's it. I've also worked after meeting the guys here through ELLAK, Mr. Lenny, Dimitris, and some other folks. I also work in the past on different open data, open government, civic, you could say, crowdsourced civic initiatives here in Cyprus, trying to help on that front. And so I'm very happy also about all the things that are happening over the next week in relation to that. So yeah, happy to be here. On to the next one, I guess.
Rene?
Yeah, so I'm Rene. Thank you for allowing me to join the Cyprus podcast on ELLAK and open source and human digital rights. Very happy to also do my best to contribute to the Open Digital Futures Week and to ELLAK efforts in general. My background is in business and IT, I always like to say, broadly speaking, and the alignment between. And increasingly over the past couple of years, also due to EU policy, which one can criticize, but also support constructively. I think such things as open digital ecosystems and sovereignty are key words that we can certainly help push forward pragmatically, right? As a community, as a country, as a community of practice, also as an industry, as an IT industry, for example. And I really hope to, play my little part in bringing everything together at a more societal level rather than just at a business level or for a certain department or on a certain project. So that's where I'm coming from with this in a nutshell.
Nice. By the way, I have seen Rene in an event, and he was asking a question about the technologies. And then I told him, you need to go into metrics with the guys from ELLAK. And this is how we're all here.
And here we are,
yeah. Oh, Marios, and after we have Vasilis.
Hi everyone, my name is Marios Sankivis. I am really glad that...
there is a background noise.
Yeah, I'm at a cafe. If it's too bad, I will find a better place. But I'm really glad that this community is going on for so many years, and I'm looking forward to this amazing week coming up. We will be having some hosts from the EU. We will be inviting some new people from the island who are interested in open technologies. Myself, I'm a technologist. I've been doing also some policy, some teaching, some research, but primarily my practice has been revolving around three technologies over the past 15 years. I've met Lenny, Theodotos taught me how to do Linux. I met Neophytos and FOSDEM. I'm really happy that we are still around and looking forward to the week.
Okay. Mario, try to find a bit better, because also you're a bit freezing because the Wi-Fi probably is not the best in the cafe. Let's go to Vasilis. Welcome, Vasilis.
Hello. I'm a software engineer. I run my own software engineering consultancy. I started into the open source ecosystem when I was at university mainly, though I installed Linux the first time when I was in high school many years ago. And so at university, we had a custom Linux distribution based on Fedora. And I like to tinker with it and customize it. So Fedora is still my main, it's not a custom Fedora now, but it's my main distribution that I use every day for work and for gaming. As part of my work, so I've worked in the UK for 8 years, since 2014 until 2022 when I came back to Cyprus. I was always involved contributing to open source via my daily work. Like if there was an issue with an open source library I always try to contribute. And now having, as part of my job as a software engineering consultant, we also have clients that we help with open source projects. And it's something that I wanted to do, like work in the open source ecosystem and get paid. So I'm at that point there, and it's a really great place to be in because you meet a lot of great people and you learn a lot, and there is also a lot going on. So I wasn't expecting to find a community in Cyprus, and thank you, Neophitos, for introducing me.
Cool. Taxi. Who wants to go first and tell us what ELLAK is? Kristaleni, and then maybe the guys can tell us some stories from the old days.
Bunny, why don't you tell us about your encounter with ELLAK? Because you have the map of this, of the local tech scene.
The encounter with ELLAK, I always supported open technology as a tech journalist. And when I started many years ago, the first startups blog about startups innovation, I saw an event that you were organizing, I think, and Neophitos back then, and I came to listen what you had to say about open technologies. I think it was through the Hack 66. I remember well, or the other group that Neophitos did, Open Data, something. Because I
think we had a talk back then with the Python group in Cyprus, actually, at the Cyprus University of Technology, and we talked about open data projects that we were working on. Actually,
yeah, well, I got involved in a few hackathons also with the open data of Cyprus and etc. because I love hackathon. Actually, I'm planning one for next year, of course. Yeah, and that was my interaction with ELLAK, and I'm here to support, as possible as I can. Okay, let's see about ELLAK almost. What is ELLAK? Okay, I put the link in the comments about the upcoming community. Also, the people can join ELLAK.org.cy to see, register in the newsletter, etc. But Kristaleni, let's start from you. Tell us about what actually is ELLAK and what are the main drivers of the community.
I feel that Theodotos is the right person to answer this question. Theodotos, what do you think?
Okay, let's go. No worries.
Okay, basically, the story of free software is older than Ubuntu CY. There were some students at the Cyprus University of Cyprus, sorry. And they created something called Cylook. At some point, they left the university and the club slowly faded away. But this was the first attempt to start something like that. Then it started with us in PrimeTel. There was a lot of Linux enthusiasts over there. And we started the Ubuntu CY community, which at some point, there was no other Linux user group or free software group in Cyprus. So eventually other people from other communities started joining the forum, from Arc, from whatever, from Fedora, from whatever. And eventually we figured out that Ubuntu CY doesn't make sense anymore. It's better to create something more inclusive. And we created ELLAK. At some point, we even managed to register it as a community, somatio in Greek. That didn't go well because after we registered, they changed the legislation and we had to re-register again. And yeah, here we are now. We're trying to register again. We're at this
I think that's an important point you raised, Theodoros. Sorry for jumping in. Back then, I remember the brainstorming, let's say, the thinking when we did that meeting was, can we do something more than just the Linux user group, which is totally fine. It already had a very strong community, but the whole concept was, can we push it towards becoming a movement? Can we inform people? Can we change things? Can we affect and inform and these kind of things? And at least I was positively surprised that back then. I was living abroad, but I came for this opportunity. And yeah, it was a community of similarly minded people, let's say, that were actually willing to jump on board on this ship. So yeah, here we are, I guess. It's been 10 years, maybe more. I don't know.
Yeah. Can we put Linux in the schools? That's it.
Can we put freedom respecting technologies in schools? Can we reveal how strange it is that exploitative proprietary tools are normalized? I mean, this is not really. It's not really normal that we are that the mainstream, that the majority of people on the planet are relying on tools that are not freedom respecting, that have a different agenda other than that of the so-called user. So I think this is the focus of the conversation of the free software, free libre and open source software movement.
Okay, we're not.
And there's a lot to say about that. You don't want to have that conversation.
No. We can have any conversation we like. What I wanted to say is that we're not using free open to do this conversation, but you're using the tools that others created.
We scaffold.
This is where people are.
Yeah.
So if you want to influence these people to understand about the community, the drivers, you need to go to these platforms and tell them about it.
Absolutely, and I want to say that it's it's about scaffolding and gradually. We cannot change this overnight, right? We have to work up to it, and this is how we do that.
Just to mention, we're using probably proprietary platform, but I'm willing to bet that it's using like a couple, if not dozens, of open source libraries to do this job, right? In technology. Yeah. So let's not forget that. Then that's a big impact of open source in our world, basically.
And actually, Neophytos is right. We have seen this impact to major companies like Microsoft, and other companies. We have seen now, in terms of politics, France actually trying to move from this software and goes to an open technologies and a system that would be their own in terms of digital sovereignty. And but let's come to France maybe a bit later to this conversation. I want to discuss about the Open Digital Futures Week. Tomorrow you are starting with a barbecue in Paphos, and I think that's the best event, probably.
Kristalin is to blame for that. She wanted, let's do a barbecue in order to start the week.
Kristalin always wants to do a barbecue or something like that.
I just heard Souvla and I was like, okay.
She's connecting stuff, networking stuff, so that's why she wants to do. It's better to network over beers and drinks and discuss all this.
In this event, in the barbecue, also we are participating some communities from Paphos, the Cyprus developer community, and the Paphos coders and designers community, which they helped us promoting the event and reach a bigger audience. So besides us techno hippies, there are going to be some more serious people in this event.
And actually, I think that's a big part of what we are trying to do right here, right? Through this series of events, but also through ELLAK, like connecting communities, connecting industry, academia, public institutions. Everyone needs to come together through this effort, and I think ELLAK has a big role to play on that front, and we need all the help we can get. So yeah, but maybe Kristalina, you want to share more on the upcoming week?
Let's go a bit through the program to tell us what actually will happen in the next days. Who could do that?
We can take it in reverse chronological order, which actually makes sense in terms of how this developed, right? Because, okay, so there's a spotlight now on Cyprus with the Cyprus presidency of the Council of the European Union, and there are events. Specifically, one major tech policy event being organized by the Deputy Ministry of Innovation, Research and Digital Policy on the 17th and 18th of the month.
They're shaping the next digital frontier that actually Demis Hassabis was planned to come. At last minute, he will not be joining. Yeah.
But there are major,
But there is, major policy event? People and other,
for
it's fully booked, actually.
So it's for the second day. You can still register, and please do that ASAP.
Okay, go.
When I registered for the second day, it also allowed me to tick boxes for the first day. Did this happen to you as well?
Yeah. They were sold out, and the guys from the Deputy Ministry told me that they will be releasing a few more seats. So maybe there is some few more seats. But that was like 4 or 5 days ago, that conversation. So maybe.
So there's a lot of people from Brussels and around the European Union who are going to be in Cyprus, for this and other events, and of course the presidency itself, right? The inner workings of the decision-making EU machine. So this is happening now here. And because of this, there was the opportunity to help Open Forum Europe, which is a think tank based in Brussels, part of which is Emilia. Emilia is a friend that Marios knows from before. She's also Cypriot. She was working in the European Parliament at some point. I mean, Marios can say more about. So it was kind of this personal Cypriot kind of connection that reaches around, and so there was an opportunity to make this connection with Open Forum Europe, which typically tries to organize open source themed events in around and in relation to these EU tech policy events as they go around Europe. So basically, we mediated and helped Open Forum Europe create, connect with local institutions. Specifically, it went really, really well with the Cyprus Institute. I have also been speaking with organizations in Cyprus about open source for a while. We all have been, actually. We've been trying to wake up the local, I don't know how to call it, local institutions, government. We've been trying to bring kind of free and open source thinking to that, right? It's a big mission. And this connects, anyway, so we can go, please, let's put a pin on that and talk about this resistance and these misconceptions around open source in a bit. So we connected Open Forum Europe with the Cyprus Institute, and then we had a tech policy event happening in Cyprus, which of course we then had to accompany with social events involving artists and then also a barbecue. So it became a week. This is basically what happened, and it happened kind of with everyone putting in their own ideas and blaming me for them. Theodoros is blaming me for the barbecue, but okay.
We didn't have to tell me a second time, though.
I'll take the blame for the barbecue, no problem.
Just to put in a bit of chronological now series. Okay, tomorrow there is a barbecue at Paphos at picnic site between 11 and 1, around starts 11. I don't know when to finish. We will have another Miriante. Who is this?
Marianthi, welcome.
Hello. Hi.
Marianthi, you're here?
I'm sorry, guys. I couldn't connect because I was in the Athens metro. I am in Piraeus now, so I'm very happy to see you all tomorrow. I'm arriving in Cyprus at 9:20 in the morning, and then I don't know what to do. But
I will pick you up from the airport. I should introduce Marianthi.
Marianthi, do you want to introduce yourself very quick? What you are doing and how you're involved in the open technologies?
I am not hearing well.
Can you introduce yourself a bit?
Yes. I am Marianthi Stavridou. I am responsible for the NGI Zero project in Athens, in Greece. And I am vice chair of the Internet Society in Switzerland. And I'm organizing panel 4 about embedded security in the systems.
Okay, great.
Hello, I speak many languages, multilingual. Yes, at the level of studies, I study linguistics and history, and after a while, economics. And then I did some courses in MIT on the impact of artificial intelligence on our societies. And I am also working for the European Commission as an expert for Horizon, in the Horizon project. I think that's all.
And it's really also interesting that Marianthi is working. She brings in. She makes a strong connection with the free and open source ecosystem in Switzerland, which is very, very powerful. Yeah.
Yes, of course. And we are bringing some of the companies that they are open source and they are working in the sector, like Xeon, which is the new generation internet that has the security embedded. And we are going to be connected with Apertus Artificial Intelligence, which is open source, an open source Apertus platform of the Swiss government. And of course, what is important, I think, the whole thing is that Switzerland, per law, now is going open source, the whole public sector, schools, hospitals, everyone.
Nice.
Yes.
Okay, let's go a bit about the program of the upcoming week, just to put a bit of structure. Okay, we have the barbecue tomorrow. We start at 11 and going with Suvla, as René said. As far as I understand, we have a change about this program, something for tomorrow or no? Stalin, you told me something about.
So Savas, who creates the solar ovens, the famous Cypriot solar oven project.
Yeah, has going around the world. Will not come, and he will come on the conference. On
yeah,
Monday.
He will be with us on Monday. Yeah, because there's an issue with his car and he can't organize.
The guys coming to the barbecue, they need to bring their own meat, etc., or you are going to have meat and drinks. What is it?
No, we bring our own.
Everybody should bring their own food, drinks, etc. So it's a do-it-yourself, basically, barbecue. Theodoros, you are mute. Theodot.
Always the same.
Yeah. Sorry. Judging from what we have seen in other events, there's going to be a lot of food. So unless you really want to bring something, I would suggest don't bring too much food because it's it's going to be wasted. I have around 7 kilos of meat from on my souvla, so it's going to be enough to feed sufficient people. But yeah, if you have special dietary preferences or you want to share something with the rest, yeah, by all means, yes, bring it.
Okay, so on Sunday we have an event, arts, meme. Sorry, who is that? Marian. Yeah, on Sunday we have Sunday night we have at Neme in Limassol, the Libre Arts, an event. Always creative, the events of at Neme. So I would suggest if you're in Limassol, go visit the event on Sunday night. And Monday we have the 1.cy and conference in science. Mario, you want to tell us a bit about this conference because you are organizing this?
I'm organizing this together with everyone, basically, and thank you very much for the support. On Monday, we are going to have more like of a community gathering. The format is going to be a conference, so the agenda is set by the participants throughout the day. So come with your own proposals, and then we will figure out who wants to join what and what the actual topics to be discussed will be. And in the end, we will put everything together into a letter or an essay that we will be presenting on Tuesday at the more formal Open Forum Europe event. The event itself will be hosted. Yeah, the Monday event will be at Science in the center of Nicosia. We will be meeting at around 11, I believe. We will have some food, but again, everything will be self-organized, and you're welcome to bring food to share, or we can find a place to for lunch outside. So we are very
Science also has a nice coffee shop there, so if you want anything, it's pretty much
please join. We are grateful for the support from Science, and 101 is more of a community that has to do with digital rights and free technologies in Cyprus and policy making. So this is how it fits. And the theme of this year is, of course, the Cyprus presidency of the European Council, and the freedom, democracy, internet was something that people were. It was, how to say that in English now. There was a group of Iranians that were protesting for freedom, and this was what they were shouting. And I think it's very well our theme as well. So this is where it comes from.
Can we also bring up some of the session proposals we have so far, just to give a sense of what how the conference
go ahead.
will take place?
About this.
Oh, okay. Let me.
Or Mario's who to this? Mario's you.
I remember one of them has to do with cybersecurity. I think Kyriakos is leading that one.
I have this here. I have it in front of me. So Kyriakos, this is super strong, right? So not everything is going to be this strong, but it starts with tech as a geopolitical tool or weapon. And so it goes straight to the heart, and he collects a few kind of references to ask questions like, how can we keep code from being weaponized against us? What is easier when detecting code for an added backdoor? This is pretty technical. Commits on a closed source and private repo, or commits to an open and publicly accessible repo? And who is watching the watchers? Who is watching the providers? And this, of course, connects to the debate in cybersecurity, or the misconception that closed source is safer than open source, because if it's closed source, then the bad guys can't understand it, they can't access it, and which is people can talk about this more, but the consensus perhaps in our community is that it's not the case that closed source is safer. Anyway, but that's something to talk about on the day. And this is one of the proposed event sessions for the conference. We also have people who want to talk about the need to protect encryption. We also have people who want to talk about age verification, e-money, the right to live smartphone free. What else do we have?
That's nice how you live smartphone free.
Is it possible, you know? Oh, and of course we always education always comes up. Freedom, respecting technologies in education.
At one point, I plan to do that, by the way, Helen, just to know. I will really disappear from everything.
I can see you doing that.
And I will be doing smartphone free, actually. I plan to do this.
If I may add something here.
But I will still be writing in a few media around the world when I want to say something.
If I may add something here, I was reading this science fiction novel by Cory Doctorow. It's called Pirate Cinema, and it was about a future dystopia where everyone has access to the internet in order to do your bureaucracy and papers, and it's scary because we are actually reaching that very fast at that point. What if somebody doesn't want to have a smartphone? This is obligatory in this society to have one in order to do your paperwork and whatnot. It's really scary.
All of those things are very scary. We're actually reaching the Skynet science fiction.
Yeah.
With the new things that Athrobic mentioned a few days ago, that the AI can rewrite itself and it can generate, an AI can do whatever basically she likes, yes or no. If you remember the Skynet movie, this is how basically everything.
Yeah, this is how things stand. Yes.
I still think if I may add to that, I think that's over the top. Maybe that's also wishful thinking, but I'm very much looking at sovereign AI myself as a topic of interest and research and development. But to add to your specific point, Theodotos, and the broader point, I think you'd agree as well, Panis. Correct me if I'm wrong. But one example I'm running into now recently, very stupid, silly example, is just me, but Ryanair now forces people to use their app. And it's not even the biggest deal, but it's just a very simple example of why. I had PDFs, and now they're telling me we should stop wasting paper. I wasn't using paper to begin with, right? But they just want their code, their proprietary code, pushed on my personal device, right? Now, that's the sort of thing that really rubs me the wrong way. And diametrically, I think, opposes also, luckily, what is now emerging policy, for example, in Switzerland, but also at the EU level, and undoubtedly also more and more at the Cyprus level, and certainly also something that's emerging from the bottom up, right, through communities like ELLAK. So, I hope we can, whatever the future needs to be, you made a great point, Panis, you have to meet the people where they are, right? Very much also at the event where we met, right, the EIT event. Of course, everyone is on LinkedIn. I haven't been on LinkedIn for 10 years now. And that's not making my life easier, but it also feels like a concession that I shouldn't have to make, right? So it's kind of like both of these things are true.
You don't even have an anonymous account there.
Well, no comment.
Anyhow, LinkedIn is the only social media that actually does a good, and it doesn't allow anonymous accounts. It has, but it doesn't allow us the other media.
Exactly. But so just to open this up, right, is I guess what we're all talking about here, to all of our benefit, right? Like as organizations, as individuals, as consumers and citizens, etc. But then where do we allow people to actually move to constructively without creating friction in the process? Okay, you want to have like some kind of new LinkedIn, like before the average user actually moves there, or easier example, I guess, with Mastodon and Blue Sky versus Twitter. X, right? Everyone is still in the old ecosystem and keeps each other in an old paradigm even. It's not just about systems, it's ways of thinking, right? So what we're really talking about here is societal change management for those who are interested in and familiar with the concept, which is extremely complicated, but we do have to figure this out, would be my take at least on this, and one of the reasons why I'm here. We have to meet this design challenge, societal design challenge, head on, and we can only do it together, because no government is going to figure that out by themselves. No representation is going to figure that out by themselves, and certainly no individual, right?
We had
a future talk only on that. That would be very interesting. Kristalini, before you mention something, Vasilis, do you have any comments on our discussion? And
I would say that like, we have to say we are not against technology, but we are in favor of having the freedom of choice. You know, when someone stops sending you updates, or some service doesn't push the settings to your mobile device anymore, you shouldn't be forced to change a device, or you shouldn't be forced to use it if you don't want it, as Theodoros said. So it's a matter of choice. We cannot stop progress, of course, but at the same point, we need to respect everyone's freedom to choose what they want to do. And this becomes even more complex. We talked about schools at the start for using Linux, and you will hear sometimes in the news, Microsoft donated these many licenses for schools. This is not a donation from the goodness of their hearts. It's a trapment of the market. So when you are taught Windows, when you grow up, you're gonna choose. You are taught about openness and understand how things work. You can make your own choice. And so they will be able to make their own choices and not feel this entrapment that I have to use this or I have to use that because I cannot live without it.
The bad thing with Cyprus is that we paid the Windows license. In Cyprus, it came for free, at least.
And nowadays, free software has matured a lot, and it's powering the internet. Basically, most of the servers running nowadays are using Linux. Many mobile phones are using Android, which again is Linux. I'm using mostly free software, and everything works fine. And the reason why we are still trapped to proprietary technologies in the public sector probably has to do with other. Maybe there is a fear. It's not advertised a lot that free technologies are working perfectly fine, and but we have already had some discussions with key people in the public administration, and they are supportive. So we are expecting to see procurements that also allow for free technologies instead of just using Microsoft and Azure, for example. Let's see how that's going forward.
Yeah, just to tell you a brief story here. In 2000, I had a course in the University of Cyprus, was business ethics. And as a techie I was back then, I took the Microsoft example and how Microsoft is creating monopolies back then until today. Okay. The 2-3 things I did, I think 40, 50 pages back then without AI, ChatGPT research. Actually, I need to find it, to be honest. I have it somewhere in digital format. But the thing is that companies, they create monopolies by 2-3 stuff. First of all, they always have a software that has bugs, and they give you different license just to keep you in the loop, that you need the bugs, the security updates, and all this. And the other one thing, it was what Vasilis said, that they tried to influence the young people, different marketing, etc., so they can hold this on the long run. And the other was, what was the other? It was a third thing that made me it was very interesting. It was, again, how you log basically the user using your software and needs, the next update. not through bugs, but through other stuff, like Vasilis said, for example, some settings.
Features.
And also how the software, sometimes, if they have interest in hardware companies, they align this stuff to happen.
And this is normalized. This is the odd thing, right? This is
this
is normalized.
This is normalized now.
This is
I did this research in 2000, 26 years ago.
And with these kind of practices, as normal, expected tech by tech companies, we also have exploitative tendencies to do with human rights, to do with privacy. And in order for, and now we are in a situation where, because there are these super powerful companies that have overstepped human digital rights to the extent that they have too much power, we now have states and the European Union that's trying to compete with that, to maintain its autonomy, to maintain its power over ground, over society. So this is where we have to kind of figure out a way to pull back from that and denormalize it and claim back some of our rights. And it's really interesting, like Vasilis mentioned children and schools, but a couple of weeks ago, we were with Vasilis together. We were in Enorasis, a social club in Nicosia, speaking about digital well-being to the members of Enorasis who are mostly retired and people above 60. They get that this is not normal. You know, they have an kind of immediate knowledge that yes, if I don't want to access basic governmental services or banking through a smartphone, I should be able to find a human. I should be able, they have this understanding.
They have this because they have lived in an era without the internet, etc. That's why people that they have lived, like young Gen Z, etc. Their life from 1 year old, it was in a tablet, 2 years old. So they're locked in this digital. And that will bring other stuff. Okay, some call it evolution, some call it. But as we have seen also in education, for example, Estonia now is bringing back more the books in the schools. They have removed the digital, let's say, tablets that they were pushing a lot, and bringing more back the books. Because we'll see what happens on this, and we come back to this conversation. I want to finish the week because we forgot to mention something about the event on the main event of the Capital Series of the Open Forum Europe. On the Tuesday, 16th of June, in Nicosia and Cyprus Institute, we'll have the Capital Series event, open source in the European Union, that a lot of people are coming from Linux, USC, the Linux Foundation, GitHub, Eclipse, Kios, and also the director of Cyprus Institute will be at the forum, Stavros Malas, and the Swiss ambassador I see here, and a lot of other policy, and we will have some good discussions. I think some of you will moderate also some of the discussions there, correct? That's good. I think that will get also a lot of visibility also, because Cyprus Institute, they're doing a good marketing job in a lot of stuff. I expect this also to get some good PR and publicity around tech policy. Have anything to add about this?
The Cyprus Institute was the first to respond to this call, even though they hadn't until now taken a special interest. Now they are really kind of coming strong, really connecting with Open Forum Europe, really kind of bringing in and hopefully they will now, I don't know, they will now really hopefully push this forward more and more. I hope that this can become, they can perhaps become something like a flagship for this. We can project, we can hope, because they are a very, very intelligent organization.
No, Cyprus is
different.
still, yeah, it does very good stuff. Also, the new upgrade, the new supercomputer with NVIDIA GPUs, AI will be there. They say, I don't know yet, I plan to investigate how they will open it also to companies or to other people except researchers. The supercomputer, also they affiliate, I think one of the digital innovation hub is running there for all Cypriots to access it. Yeah, they're doing good stuff at the Cyprus Institute. In general, all our universities, I think they're doing, sure, maybe if they try to push a bit more, but I think we need to influence the communities in the universities, the tech communities to do stuff, the culture. They have all these universities, they have culture communities, students. So I believe this should come from them. Try to do maybe a series that you talk with all these computing communities or clubs in the university, so you can influence, and I believe you'll find a lot of supporters there to do more and influence the university students.
Yeah, Panis, I jumped in just to mention that, like, it's worth emphasizing in my mind 2 layers of this, let's say, the event in Tuesday, but also throughout the week. Like, one is like the event actually, that's the idea, like as we talked about the ELLAK earlier, bringing together all these people, policymakers, researchers, open source, let's say, enthusiasts, activists, academia, and industry. Like, all these people sit together and discuss first at the level of the EU, like we're all in this together, talking about digital sovereignty, public, like digital infrastructure, and like I think the second layer is about Cyprus, right? As we discussed here, we're not starting, let's say, from zero. We already have universities doing very good work. We have very good research centers. We have open source communities. We're getting together. I don't know, technical talent, small companies like Vasilis mentioned, doing these kind of contributions. So all these, let's say, you want to call them actors, contributors, stakeholders, all these people are coming together, and hopefully this can be an opportunity for Cyprus itself to consider how, through this opportunity, it can find its way and how it can strengthen collaboration within Cyprus, but also, adopting the technical capacity, making the most of the local, let's say, and then adopting the best of the EU that has to offer, because that's the nature of open source. If, I don't know, Switzerland or Estonia has an open source solution, why reinvent the wheel? We can just adopt it and use it here, and that's one of the big benefits of it. So yeah, just wanted to emphasize that.
And just as there are forces within the European Union that are pushing for greater investment in closedness or defense, there are also powerful forces that are really supporting exactly open source and privacy and encryption. So we are in this moment now in European tech policy, and we can choose, maybe not sides, but we can choose what to reinforce. We can be vocal about what we would like to see more of, what we need in order to live well. Many of us here have children.
Sorry, Cristela.
You mentioned children a lot of times, and there is an issue, I think, here, the European issue. Can you tell us about the issue and what is the problem and what is your opinion on that?
The issue, you mean? So
there's an issue with the security, the cyber security, the children rights, and the chat control. Yeah, about the chat.
I can start this, but then please, everyone, help me to communicate this well and clearly. So there is.
Somebody else can.
I can respond very simply to say that the safety of children is, of course, a major priority and a major concern, and this is often used maybe not as an excuse, but it becomes a reason to really curtail freedoms and and in order to try and pass measures that will not be beneficial in the long term for the freedom of anyone or the children themselves that we are trying to protect. So there are strong movements, and there are groups of scientists in the field of encryption, cryptography, and Marius can talk more about this. Specifically, I know because I know anyway. Here is my child who needs to be protected.
You see, you mentioned child.
So this is
Mario,
this is the big, and I want to also just quickly mention that just sorry to say that there are two things now. There are two major debates. One is the so-called chat control or CSAR regulation that is being processed again and again and again in the European Union, and there is also the matter of the age verification and the EID. So I just wanted to just kind of drop this, and now Marius, please.
Yeah. So, and it's very, very interesting to see how our own Deputy Minister of Digital Policy has been pushing for the adoption of digital identities and for additional controls for people who are underage. And their approach is we need to cut them off the internet. We need to basically ban them from social media. We want to read all of their messages. I don't want to, yeah, I kind of trust the youth. I think protection should come. Controls can run locally on the phone. They don't have to exist either in the infrastructure level or at the European Union level. Yeah, there are lots of debates. What we will be discussing probably on Monday about this is how such regulations are using basically children to bring more control and surveillance and censorship of online services.
Okay. Yeah, I want very brief. I want your opinion about what France is doing with the open source, pushing the open source movement.
First of all, if I can make a comment, I'm not that familiar with France and the things happening there, but like maybe a comment based on all the things we discussed earlier. Like open source has been around there for decades, like in all these technologies and all these communities, but I think that's the importance of being resilient and being there over the years. So now that people at the high level have realized there's a need for that, and there's like actual reasons to do this. I mean, people in the community have been calling about this and trying to activate people around this, but unfortunately, maybe, but also fortunately, people have realized now on how open source technologies and free software can help in this front. On the issues of autonomy, sovereignty, having a choice, among other things, but also in the level of collaboration, bringing people together to work on common things for common good. So difficult times we are, maybe for the wrong reasons we're doing this, but I'm pretty sure it's for the benefit of everyone. Rene, I see you nodding. Maybe you have something to say on that.
I think we're talking about different things. Kristalini, for example, you said something about regulation, I think, and control, etc., and also in relation to how do we protect children as much as possible, but also how do we protect our freedoms and openness in general. That's a kind of a paradox. I'm always fascinated by this sort of thing, but that doesn't mean they're mutually exclusive. It's just a harder design challenge, an engineering challenge, right? Also, again, societal engineering challenge. How can we find the right balance? Right, also having all voices heard, and coming back to the Open Digital Futures Week, we're trying to pull in, the voices of as many people as possible who are interested, qualified, or ideally both, to hopefully package, all of that input as best as possible and send that off to the Cyprus and the EU level. And if I may remark briefly also on that, we're going beyond, beyond the EU level. For Cyprus specifically, there's also a policy on, for example, economically, right, on tourism, and pivoting that away a little bit towards, for example, technology, right, to become more of a no pun intended necessarily intended, but technology island, right? I think that's a good policy, not to be so dependent on tourism. And this sort of question, like how do we design an open future that's as responsible and as effective as possible, is a most crucial one, certainly for Cyprus to answer as well, for its future in general.
If I may add something to this, I think when it comes to this protecting the children, I think we should focus mostly on educating the kids and the parents. If a child falls into a ditch, it's the parent's responsibility. You are not expecting society, to be all present and protect the children from physical harm. So I think, we should. This is because in order to try to regulate this, you may inadvertently give tools to those that want to control us and make the life difficult for everyone in the end.
Hannes has been completely overwhelmed.
Hannes, we have a lot of action in the ELLAK, in the Matrix channel. People are trying to participate, and you know what? I think maybe next time we can have because I hope you invite us again. We can have another conversation, and you can invite more of the community, and we can have an even livelier a conversation. Because I think we also had a Facebook, Instagram failure, didn't we? Today there was some kind of.
People can ask questions in the comments, and we can take them if they want. Anyhow, my last thing is I want from all of you just an advice or a tip about the government or about somebody else, about open technologies, how you can push more open technologies. Let's start from Vasilis.
I want to add first that because we talk about open and free, just to clarify that when we talk about free software or free code, we don't mean free of charge or money. It's not like we don't free things. So the difference that it would make to a government or a society when you use open technologies is the difference with the closed technology, that you have only a limited number of people that can fix the problems and maintain it when you need them. So it reduces the pool of, let's say, contractors that you are gonna go to procurement or whatever. And it's a closed technology, so it gives not only the people but also governments and communities and societies freedom to navigate better the market, and it gives the ability to fix it yourself. Like, you don't need actually. Maybe you have a software engineer in house. It's open source. It's like having a device that you can unscrew it and open it and fix it, and it doesn't void the warranty. It's the same thing. So it's about freedom, and this is what I believe this is the message we want to emphasize to both the governments and the people, so they understand that this is not just a bunch of hippies wanting free stuff, but actually has a solid background on the maturity of the whole ecosystem, relying on open source technologies. And it doesn't need to be from 0 to 100 in a day. We're not going to go fully open tomorrow, but gradually we need to reduce the exposure to the risks of closed source solutions.
I guess from my end, I'd like to maybe re-emphasize that Cyprus, as a small country, has an opportunity here. In the spirit of the upcoming week, let's say, there's an opportunity here to benefit from the shared European digital technologies infrastructure in the spirit of free software, in the spirit of open source, and things like better interoperability, like less vendor login, reusable public infrastructure, public money, public code. All these things are things that we could work on. We could learn from our partners in the European Union and improve. And again, we're a small place, as in other areas. If we want, if there's a drive, if there's the will, we can change things quickly. The technology is there. And from what we see from the participation in this event, the knowledge is also there from different stakeholders coming from different backgrounds, let's say, both institutional and on individual level. But yeah. Well,
Next.
jumping people.
Those.
Sorry, I was typing here in the channel. Can you repeat the question?
Yeah. Just a tip or advice how we can push more open technologies.
Well, originally, what we tried to do was we tried to reach the government, and it was a bottom-up approach, but we ended up being ridiculed and mocked as I don't know, fairy people that were not grounded. We tried to explain, and even back then there were pretty solid educational tools like GCombris. It's not a new thing. There were a lot of pretty solid educational tools back then, but eventually they did use some like GeoGebra for the schools. But I think it's a difficult thing to approach. At some point, I was so disappointed that I wanted to switch to a bottom-up approach. So just reach out to the people, teach them how to use these things, and let it come. And eventually, the open source, free and open source software came to Cyprus, but it didn't came through our efforts. It came through business in the end, because a lot of these high-tech companies are using this software because it's convenient for them, not because it promotes freedom or for all the things that we care about, but because it's convenient for them and they can use it, and it gives them the flexibility they want for their work. And in the end, a lot of people got educated about free software through working to these high-tech companies that brought these technologies. Now, we can probably use this as an example and go to the government and tell them, look what they are doing. All the big tech companies are using this. Why don't you use this? What's stopping you? Why do we have to be enslaved in these technologies that you brought from and even from countries that are not to our best interest at this moment? It's also a little bit political, because a lot of these technologies come from the United States, and at this point of history, they don't care so much about us.
And probably that's France. That's why France is doing all these things.
Yeah.
Not so about the technology, but so because they want to get out of some control from the major other countries.
They want to have the choice, right?
At least have the choice. Yeah, if something happens, it's like maybe in this disaster recovery backup plan for them.
I would actually like to respond to that, and also to your question at the same time. So I think what's missing still in the mix, I would love to give more sort of maybe broad economic advice, or like to the average citizen or consumer, but that's an ongoing conversation anyway. But if you're asking about like what France is doing, for example, for civil servants and what sort of communication tools they're using. I think it's matrix-based, right? So the matrix protocol that we see, I think, in more and more places, imperfect as it may be, right? But it works in general, at least. What is not the case, I thought it was federated, which means like it's a form of interoperability. But apparently the core of the protocol is not at least fully federated. So that's the key word I want to highlight right now. If we want to really push or enable, however you want to phrase it, open technologies and our open digital future in general, we need to design also as technical people, right, as people in IT, for solutions that don't just solve our little problem in our project or in our specific environment, but something that's more broadly operational, right, that could also speak with or integrate with other systems. So interoperability is a key word that I would say that's still missing also in the France example. Germany is doing the same thing actually at the EU level. There's a lot more attention for this sort of open type of software solution. But we need to, I think, inject interoperability more as a design feature earlier on in the process of designing and building and implementing these sorts of systems.
Marius, and then we finish with Kristalini.
Okay, maybe something interesting about Cyprus. We do the best barbecues, so no excuse for tomorrow. And the other thing is that I really like this community because it goes beyond just developers. Like, no matter if you write code or not, you are more than welcome to join this week. And yeah, there will be some interesting discussions, and the more perspectives we get from the locals, the better. And hopefully we can also make our join the European discussion and push for our own goals and dreams. Kristalini.
I think it's about, or I would like to encourage us and everyone to kind of listen to the instinct that there's another way. There can be another kind of technology, another kind of relationship with technology that is with technology that is not addictive, that is non-exploitative, that is commons-minded, civic-minded, that is repairable and interoperable, and that technology and tools that are designed to liberate rather than create dependency. So that is the kind of future that I would like to go towards. This is the kind of utopia that we're trying to grant, not a utopia, and interjects. It's possible, and I think the way to do it is to connect the people who are already working on this, but are scattered across, even in Cyprus. They're scattered, across institutions. They're also in government, and we just need to give them voice, help them connect, and move towards this together.
Yeah, and maybe as a call to action, it's good to mention that also. Like, we're talking a lot about technology, but it affects everything, right? If you are in education, if you are a civil servant, if you are like an artist, maybe a lawyer, there are so many ways we can approach this, and we are like fighting on many fronts. So any help is welcome, let's say. And we need different perspectives from different industries also.
And not just fighting, but also partying, right? Souvla, beer.
Yeah.
Okay.
Also veggie options.
That's where we are going to. Anyhow, great. We had this first podcast, let's say, conversation. Thank you all. We have posted in YouTube some links, or you can go ELLAK.org.cy to find the metrics, the community. You can join the community and have more interactions with other members, etc. Yeah, thank you guys and lady. Sorry.
Thank you.
hopefully we will see you
Thank
meet
you.
these people in the upcoming events that is happening. You'll meet also other members of the community there. Join, learn more about open technologies, free technologies. It's good to know, at least. If you don't want to use them, don't use them, but it's good to know. But actually, guys, Neophytos said you probably are using a lot of this stuff and you don't know it. Correct. Yeah.
And yeah, thank you, Bunny, for using all this amazing infrastructure, far-reaching infrastructure you've put together, using it with us. That's really, really cool. Thank you.
Okay.
Right.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Hope to see you, everyone. Bye bye.
Catch you soon.